Tyler, I guess first of all, just to explain, what took place here today in Ile La Crosse.
First of all, we're Saskatchewan Development, based out of Ile La Crosse, Saskatchewan. We're community ECDev. Today we had a pretty historic event. Carries a lot of momentum, partnering up with other communities in the region, both Métis and First Nations communities, which include Pine House, Canoe Lake, English River, Buffalo River, and of course Ile La Crosse. And what we propose is a three-phase tourist destination, starting with a 18-hole championship golf course.
I guess so. How long has this been in the works?
It's been in the works for well over, I'd say, between 20 and 25 years, but we've started taking it seriously within the last year and re-looking at establishing some of the plans that were done prior. It is not a new concept for us. It's just a matter of getting everybody to work together and that commitment from the region. We see this as a regional project, and because we do have a lot of golfers per community, which again we have to drive at least an hour and a half south to Meadow Lake, which is the nearest golf course. So this is not only a service to them, but bringing a service to all of people of Saskatchewan, of course, as a tourist destination.
We're hoping to hear from Graham Cook further on after this announcement, but we heard from him today. Has Graham, he did Dakota Dunes and is a renowned golf architect in the nation, North America. Has he been involved, or kind of when did he come involved in all this?
So Graham Cook, we did a pre-feasibility study just to show that this concept would work in terms of revenue, in terms of the services we were looking at. And what that pre-feasibility did show was it could work as a 9-hole golf course. So then once we did that, a lot of the groundwork before reaching out, we did reach out to all of our partners in the region, basically every community on the northwest side, pitched this idea to them, and about more than half of the partners said, well, why don't we just do an 18-hole golf course? So if they're willing to bring those resources and pool our resources together, we said, well, why not? So now we're going to further investigate that. And once we determined that, Graham Cook came into the picture. We reached out to him. We actually reached out to Darcy Bear from Whitecap to ask about the architect there, and he passed on a few names, and Graham being one of them. So we actually brought him out, flew him in to northwest Saskatchewan here. He looked at the site, toured it. We looked and investigated everywhere, the highs and lows of all of the land, and he was quite pleased with the terrain. Primarily that it's composed or made up of sand, and he said that's a great start for a golf course in terms of irrigations and drainage systems. So that's when Graham came to visit here, he was quite pleased with seeing the site. So he was further excited after that, and we're excited to look at working with him further.
Yeah, there's only so much dirt, right? That's a great start for sure. Talk about the population a little bit, because that's number one concern I think people just have here. You think Ile La Crosse is quite small, but you mentioned how many golfers there is. So, how feasible is it?
So in a radius of about 150 kilometers, there's about 12,000 people we would have access to. But Ile La Crosse alone is about 1,500 people. You would have Pine House, probably another 1,500 people. So all of the communities combined, I think, and in terms of golfer numbers, like Canoe Lake has well over 100 members in between Meadow Lake and Good Soil. We have about, I would say, 30 members, but 60 golfers, I would say, just in Ile La Crosse alone. There would be another 60 golfers in Pine House if I was to guess. So in terms of the golf numbers and golfers to support a course of the region, it definitely, golfers are there. It is feasible, and we look forward to having our own golf course.
As you explained today, other things involve museum/interpretive center, and of course Indigenous people are so, in love with their land and whatnot. So you want to keep this local, but yet, as we heard from Graham, it could be a special place in North America, but you still want that Northwest Saskatchewan, cultural feel.
Yes, the golf course is the starting point. We want people to come not only to Northwest Saskatchewan, but to experience what we have, look at the terrain, the land, the history. So that's phase one. Phase two would be a lodge, kind of RV resort, residential development we would look at. And then phase three would be looking at a gaming center or slash, possibly casino, at least explore it. I mean, there's probably a lot of red tape there, but at least explore it. But then, there's a lot more to it. We do have the river systems, which connects all of our communities and all of our partners. So, I mean, you can do Indigenous experiences or tours. I mean, we have a fish company in Ile La Crosse that services Western Canada. Of course, the fish that supports their company, the product that supports their company comes from those river systems. So it is quite a historic place. Ile La Crosse is the second oldest community in Western Canada. So I mean, there is a lot of rich histories, and of course the rivers were the old roadway systems back 250 years ago. So to showcase and highlight some certain areas, I think would be important, and not only that, it showcases all of our communities.
Imagine if there was a spot where you could have, people throw their clubs on at their pontoon and go across the river and park at a dock and pick up a cart and go to mix night or something. You have big visions up here. Thanks for having golf as part of it, because there's probably some other things you could do. But I guess just, I don't know if there's a percentage, but how optimistic are you that this, kind of goes ahead further past the proposed stage?
So I'm quite optimistic. We've been leading this for a year now. We have reached out to every community in Northwest Saskatchewan here. We have 5 of the communities that are committed, with probably the most golfers per population of community in Northwest Saskatchewan. I'm more than optimistic that this is going to move forward. And I mean, getting here today and signing an MOU is a feat in itself. We're quite proud of that. And again, a partnership of this magnitude hasn't been done for well over 20 years. So we're looking at looking forward to working with those communities in the region, and of course exploring this further and making it into a reality.
Are you leading the group, or the stakeholders involved? When would be the ideal date to put a shovel in the ground?
Shovel? Well, if I'm really optimistic, which I am, it would be next May. So putting the financing would have to happen quite quickly here, and of course the business planning and all of the resources would have to be in place. But ideally, our timeline is looking at next May. If we don't meet that target, it would be the following May, and then it's about a 2.5 year, almost 3 year until the opening tee shot. So if we begin next May, we're looking at July or August of 2026 for opening. But again, if we're delayed for several reasons or reasons that are out of our control, you would just tack on that time frame, of course.
Golf Saskatchewan's honored to be here and invited today for this monumental announcement for your area. Thanks for choosing golf again, and hopefully can't be back here to watch you guys put that shovel in the ground.
Yeah, thanks, Clark. I appreciate it.